Thank you very much, Ayanda. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, Fourth Estate, the board of Prasa, Chair, Kweyama, the DG, Mr. Alec Muyemi, and the acting group CEO of Prasa, Dr. Sishi, colleagues. When we launched the Prasa War Room on the 8th of April, on the 8th of August 2019, we made a firm commitment that this intervention must result in improved customer experience for the citizens who use Prasa services every day. And the War Room is not a permanent mechanism, it's an intervention. And it must be understood as such, as an intervention to ensure that things move with speed and we are able to ensure that Prasa execute what it is expected in line with what the sixth administration have committed itself in terms of the social contract between the citizens of this country and its government. The high levels of customer dissatisfaction and a decline in passenger patronage, mostly attributable to, amongst other issues, safety and high levels of crime and vandalism, as well as unpredictable service, require serious and urgent attention. I tasked the War Room under the direction of the Director General, Alec Muyemi, to focus on the following issues: failing infrastructure, signaling, pairway, electrical, resulting in train delays and cancellations, a decline in passenger numbers, which had dropped to an all-time low, the slow rate of capital spending, which delays improvement in service delivery, failure to meet the regulator safety permit conditions and directives, high rate of crime and vandalism within the rail system. And we subjected this to a 30 weeks implementation program. And today, as we gather here, we are in the 14th week, approaching the 15th week of the implementation of the War Room decisions. Today, I conducted an appraisal of the work done by the War Room and the progress made to date. The most important measure for us to claim success is reliable service that gets people to their workplaces on time and where our people can travel on our trains safely. Indeed, a lot of progress has been made since the inception of the War Room, but we are not where we want to be. Many challenges remain, which we continue to unlock, but I'm encouraged that serious effort is being put into resolving this. Already progress has been made towards ensuring an increase in train sets availability, improved on-time performance, a reduction of temporary speed reductions, protection and security of the corridor, and revenue protection, as well as increased patronage. Since the inception of the War Room, Metro Rail's on-time performance has improved, and we are on course towards achieving our goal, which we set for ourselves, of 85%. The morning peak at the start of the War Room was 49%, and by the end of the last week, on-time performance had increased to 60%. The afternoon peak, on the other hand, increased from 55% to 63%. We had also committed to ensuring that Metro Rail introduces a morning peak service on the new trains operation between Pienaarpoort and Pretoria stations. Since the introduction of this service, passenger numbers have increased to more than 51,000. That is now Pinar Sport. And I'm extending an invitation to you on Friday to this important line in the Pretoria region to showcase some of the work that we've been doing since the inception of the War Room by Friday, but to expose some of you to the new trains that we've got and we're rolling out, because I think the only trains you know are those who came with Shifambo, and which you were briefed that they are above the platform lines and so on. Till now we are producing the real stuff. So on Friday I'm inviting you to showcase that, and you will know that the plant Kibela, launched by Minister Blade Nzimande and President Ramaphosa, is undertaking this task as it was introduced last year. Paying passengers increased from a mere 39% to more than 90%, whilst on-time performance on this corridor has increased to 96%. I'm encouraged that serious attention is being given to internal inefficiencies, with particular focus on achieving efficient engineering solutions, effective maintenance, and operations management, systems engineering, and reliability improvement. This work is currently being carried out by the Prasa Rail Research Chair at Stellenbosch University. The Prasa Engineering Chair is a multi-engineering discipline research group strategically positioned in the Department of Industrial Engineering to research and solve railway and related engineering problems. Progress has also been made in the following areas: service recovery. Speed restrictions have been reduced by 25 kilometers, 16% from 167 kilometers to 142.4 kilometers. Overall on-time performance has increased by 11%, 63%. 62 service providers have been appointed to aid in the recovery of coaches. 3 executives have been appointed in critical positions to stabilize the organization. These are the Chief Procurement Officer, the Chief Financial Officer, and the Group Executive. Human Capital Management, these newly appointed executives are all women, an affirmation of our commitment to women and empowerment of women excellence. Just to emphasize the point, when we came in together with the board, these are critical positions that were not filled. And today, as we come to speak about the progress of the War Room, these are some of the key critical positions that have been filled, and that they are occupied by women in particular. And we're very much delighted in executing the policy of ensuring that capable, professional individuals are brought in the sphere of the organization. And this is the work of the board in ensuring that Kauleza becomes the defining ethos of the 6th administration. Safety management. Railway Safety Regulator RSR directives have been reduced by 25% from 44 to 33. 100% compliance with RSR condition on safety critical positions has been achieved. Occurrences have been reduced by 11% from 809 to 723. In compliance with RSR safety permit conditions, which Prasa needs to obtain, its 3-year safety limit, 56%, 5 out of 9 of these conditions relating to the following have been met: risk assessment register, costed engineering maintenance plan, deployment of new rolling stock in line with RSR technology review progress, Delivery of electronic interlocking spares. All safety critical vacancies have been filled for both KwaZulu-Natal and mainline passengers services. The War Room has also focused on ensuring that the mainline passenger services runs an efficient and predictable service with a marked improvement in performance and predictable timetable. A new timetable has been developed and aligned with prevailing network condition and availability. The MLPS is made up of Shosholoza Mail and Premier Class A. Security of passengers, workers and assets remains at the core of our interventions and a source of serious concern. This is one of the areas where we need to redouble our efforts to ensure that those who use our services are free from harm, while the work done by Prasa in addressing security gaps is encouraging. We need to accelerate our interventions. You will realize that security services have been affected as a result of this intervention, because we're not looking at temporary intervention. We're looking at holistic, long-lasting intervention to ensure the safety of passengers, but also protecting our own projects that we've got in the system, which have been depleted as a result of theft. So our billions, millions, billions investment in security must be able to produce the result and the benefit to the user of transport of what that investment actually means in the long term. We can't be employing security companies left and right, invest billions of rands, and we don't see the value. Instead, the same security companies, the situation is exacerbated as though we don't have security. We are doing an overall intervention. The War Room is about that, and it will come with delays, just like we opened last week, and today the M2 motorway is actually now, in terms of the road, Johannesburg Road Agency is now implemented, and many people got to be inconvenienced as a result of that intervention. Some of our interventions in Prasa, looking at the long-term goal, will affect how certain things have got to be done. Like they say, that is a temporary inconvenience with the long-term benefit of ensuring a long-lasting solution for security arrangement in the passenger rail network. A technology system to monitor, detect, and proactively prevent criminal conduct and vandalism of the rail network infrastructure, assets, and facilities has been approved and will be rolled out in the coming months. Central to achieving our goals to reduce delays and cancellations to a bare minimum, there has been a focused effort to ensure that target of 164 train sets availability by 31st December remains on course. You will remember we told you that by 31st December we'll introduce and roll out in our different corridors by 31st December 164 train sets. So we're on course in terms of that particular work. The War Room continues to monitor available train sets on a daily basis. The Gauteng province has increased its train sets availability by 3 from 71 to 74, whilst KwaZulu-Natal also recovered 3 sets from 23 to 26. Western Cape has been on track for 5 weeks, running with an average of 55 train sets, but saw a drop to 48 sets due to shortage of wheels and brake blocks. Similarly, 2 sets were lost due to derailment and arson, and will take time to return them to service. Eastern Cape has met its 100-day commitment of 9 locomotives and currently has 100% on time configuration. We remain mindful of Prasa's contribution in enabling economic activity while enabling mobility of our people to access social amenities. If all our trains depart and arrive on time, not only will we ensure that people do not lose jobs as a result of chronic late coming, but will improve the productivity of the companies they work for. Shosholoza Mail remains the preferred mode of transport for small business owners who live in far-flung corners of our country but need to source their products in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. Our commitment in improving the lives of our people through an efficient, reliable, and safe passenger rail service has never been greater. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister. Colleagues, if you missed some of those numbers and statistics, there's a snapshot of the war room highlights right in front of us. Please feel free to refer to those. I'm going to open up for a round of questions. I must also hasten to add that the DG, the board chair, as well as the group CEO will also be responding to some of those questions. So feel free to ask them, and then they'll also have an opportunity to share their views, especially as they pertain to operational matters. So very quickly, any questions that we have? Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead. Yes,
Thank you so much. It's Gordon Lucas from ENCA. I'd just like to specify what are the occurrences that you're referring to, Mr. And then, secondly, if you're able to comment on this matter, on the matter of the former executive manager, Daniel Mthimkhulu, the Prasa recently, or the Transport Department recently said it intends recovering some money or assets. Could you just clarify what exactly is the process and how far along is that? Yes, sir. You had mentioned the failing to meet conditions of the rail safety regulator. Could you just tell us what some of the conditions are that we're failing to meet and why that is the case? And then lastly, Minister, for you, are you satisfied with the progress that the war room has made on the halfway mark?
Well, but you've asked all the questions. I don't know if there's anything left to talk about. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Paul Soto from United Commission's Voice. Minister, thank you very much for the progress of the war room. What I want you to check is the infrastructure that we have can be able to have the new trains that can come from Pretoria to Naledi, because we might not have a train that will cater this site. But if you can have a new train that will leave Pretoria maybe 5 o'clock, because the new train, we don't expect the train to stop along the road. It will go straight to Naledi, and from Naledi going back to Pretoria and the stage in a Pinas port. And another question, it is the issue of the shortage of sets in Gauteng. The areas like Pinas port that you start with the new sets for the new trains, can the old sets being revamped and being considered to be brought to other corridors that we are having that are shorting sets in Gauteng?
Okay, I'm going to take one more hand in this round because I think we've got a huge chunk to deal with. I'll come back to you, sir.
My name is Konati. I'm with Daily Maverick. Mr. Mbalula, can you tell us, please, just give us an update on the whole board and indeed management. Have you appointed a board, and when was this? I'm not aware if Mr. Sishi, Dr. Sishi can answer the question about financial results. I'm not aware if they were released. I know in Parliament they were presented, but can you tell us about the results? If when will they be released? And I understand you've got the worst possible Auditor General opinion, a disclaimer. Are you Fikile Mbalula confident and happy with the performance of the current management team and board at Prasa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If I may, I'm going to ask Dr. Sishi to perhaps have the first bite of some of those questions. Maybe answer that. I'll ask the DG to respond and also Ms. Koyama to do so. Then Minister will then answer just for this first round. Go ahead, Doc.
So just one moment.
You might read all of them.
All of them.
Thank you.
Answer, gentlemen, please. Very important.
So you know what we're going to do, colleagues? I know logistically you're already starting to complain. After this round, we'll do the same for the second round. So we'll just move them and then as Kisinya moves, we'll complete the move. Doc, over to you.
Thank you very much. A very warm greetings to all the ladies and gentlemen of the media. I will start with the response to questions raised by the NCA around the case of Dr. Mtimkulu. I think that I can report that indeed Prasa has instructed its lawyers to pursue the matter of Dr. Mtimkulu to ensure that that which is owed to the business is recovered. Initially, we estimated this to be around 5.4 million, but then there are other investigations that are conducted currently relating to possible irregular, practices at the time that he was at the helm of the portfolio of head of engineering in the business. And so that matter is top in the agenda of Prasa right now. The United Commuters Voice have raised the issues of shortages of seats in Gauteng. Indeed, I think that we have noted, as you have received the breakdown, but in our report you will also see that we have plans to ensure that those shortages are dealt with. Particularly, you know that we've got 6 new trains that have been introduced in the Pinasport to Pretoria line, and that is only in the morning peak. We are going to also, introduce additional trains in the afternoon peak for the Pinasport to Pretoria, and that will cover and release the old trains that are held elsewhere, so that areas that need will have additional train sets in a very short period of time. I think the questions around the occurrences of RSR, I think we are very happy, as you know, that the regulator has always been, complaining about the safety situation at Prasa. We introduced the nominated manager, which is the head of safety, which now report directly to the group CEO, and therefore matters of safety have been prioritized in that regard. We've reduced the number of directives that RSR had given us. We have reduced the issues around signaling problems in not only in the Gauteng area, but in the entire network. We reported earlier on that in the southern line we have 100% signaling covered. That is why we are ready to introduce new trains in the Cape Flats line, as well as we are also 85% in the northern line. In Gauteng we are 85% with signaling, and we are in the process currently of moving all our cabins to the NEF center, which will mean that all our train operators will be able to see, the TCOs will be able to see the trains in the entire network and not only in the areas where the cabins are located. This is a huge breakthrough in terms of the safety, improvements in the system. We do have incidents that are uncomfortable around the level crossing areas, but we are working on ensuring that education campaigns are increased in ensuring that those areas are dealt with. And we've improved also the presence of flag men. As you know, that in KZN we had to employ close to 30 of them, and met all requirements of the RSR regarding the capacity in the various regions that have been identified earlier on. Sikonati has asked a question around the results, the financial results of Prasa. Sikonati will recall that for the last 3 financial years, Prasa had not submitted and complied with the Auditor General in terms of its annual reports. I'm happy to say that we have managed to present to the Auditor General the 16-17 report, the 17-18 report, and the 18-19 reports. It's never happened. But it's not just about the reports. It's about what you then do with the outcomes. And I think having introduced the CFO for the first time since 2014, Prasa has a CFO, begins to indicate a message that is very clear that from now onwards, those reports that are sitting in front of us are going to be dealt with. We've appointed a CPO, we've appointed a group executive responsible for HCM, which means issues of HR and management are now in the hands of permanently employed people. We are not happy with the results, but we will be judged by how we turn them around by the public. But now the public that was sitting in the dark about the performance of Prasa has 3 reports to the Auditor General, something that never happened since 15-16.
Thank you so much, Doc. I'm going to hand over to the DG. We are having a power outage, but as you can see, power or no power, the work of the war room continues. So DG is laying testament to the fact that the progress is something that we're still working towards. Doc, maybe I'm promoting you. DG, it's over to you.
Not yet.
Almost.
Honorable Minister, Chair, and Group CEO, and ladies and gentlemen of the media. I think some of the key issues related to the occurrences, it's the people who steal the cables. I think cable theft is a big issue. Copper theft, particularly around signaling, because while we do investments to make sure that there are no train collisions and people do not die, but the vagrants and the thieves who steal the cables ensure that that becomes a daily reality. Unfortunately, when last has our rail corridors been laid. Long time ago, before technology has actually advanced and has improved. And to that extent, the type of rail technology we are using now, where the train itself acts as a conductor to receive electricity for the pant on top, means that the entire coach is charged, and the pant collects the reverse polarity to make it move forward. Now, if a cable has been cut, the first time we would be aware that there's no more power at a specific point is when that train reaches there. And most of the time, the danger becomes the so-called the hookup, when the actual line hanging gets hooked into the pant. And the danger with it is that if that line touches the coach, almost everyone inside will be electrocuted. And I think that this is the danger of people who are less concerned about their actions, and who for 30 pieces of silver they are willing to sacrifice the lives of everybody and have cables stolen. And it is for this reason that we have focused our energies now on the rail corridor protection, and not just from a fencing point of view, But we now want to build high concrete walls to protect the assets we have, and would be proceeding on that front. The war room has looked at all the hotspots where cables are stolen all the time. We are now policing those hotspots better. As you may have seen, the occurrences have reduced. We still have a problem of people who simply, as Dr. Sishi points out, on the level crossings. This is where on surface the road meets rail line, and somehow the boom goes down. But some people tend to think that no, the train is too slow and their cars are too fast, and that despite the fact that the boom is down, they can actually go sideways and cross quickly before the train comes, and that's where a lot of accidents occur. But of importance is that since the inception of the war room, we haven't had a major accident where people died, and I think this gives testimony to the interim measures that we have done to review the manual train authorizations, because these accidents occur when we override the system because the signaling has failed, because copper cables have been stolen. And then we have to authorize for that train to enter that line with no signaling and by human intervention. And we have had to put measures in place to make sure that we minimize on human error, because this is a key issue. That when you do manual authorizations and you have no signal, the driver does not see that robot that tells him another train is coming. And this is where it had become key for us in reducing accidents, and we think that we have this far succeeded to do that. This problem will be attended to once and for all once the resignaling process has happened, and once we have protected all our rail corridors with adequate security measures. I now wish to move to the issue of the question about whether the infrastructure can take the new trains. Certainly yes, but you'll also recall that one of the rail safety regulators' limitations has been around the speed. There's a perception, I think it's a lay person's perception, that says those tracks, the pairways, are actually there and they are there for life. Because I guess people look at the steel and they think that no, it's solid, it's like that. But with time, erosion, and depending on what volumes these pairways take, how heavy the trains are in terms of freight pattern, and how many of those trains and how often they pass, and the weather conditions in that specific area will affect the wear and tear of the pairway. So with the grinding of the wheels, it's going to become brittle over time, and so some of them around the bends and the curves become much more dangerous, and their trains are prone to derailment at a high speed. So there will be a reduction in speed that the safety regulators say on this section between here and there, the train can't move at the speed, say, of 120, but move at a speed of 30. So that obviously has a negative impact on the timetable. It increases passenger journeys. They become longer because the trains, although they can go faster, but the pairway itself doesn't allow for the trains to move that fast. And so while that is the case, yes, all the new trains that are coming out can move on our corridors with ease. However, those speed restrictions will apply on certain aspects of the corridors. And that's why we have revised the timetable. We have now published it across all our stations, and passengers now know with certainty when the train is going to come. And so that has also helped us on the flip side in reducing the number of train cancellations, because there's nothing as frustrating as a passenger leaving home thinking they're going to be on a 10 o'clock train and only for the train to arrive at 12 or 1. Then obviously the frustration levels will be higher. And when that train arrives, the people who are supposed to be on the 12 o'clock train and those on the 10 are all together on a platform, and there are just too many. And the train is quite full and is overloaded. Some people are on top, some in between this and so on. We have resolved that, and I think the permanent solution will be to resolve it with additional more trains. And those trains are coming off the factory floor now on a regular basis, and it is something we are now quite happy about and quite proud. We're adding 6 more trains to the Western Cape lines. We're adding the afternoon peak here. In total, it will release the 12 old trains that now will be deployed to other lines. Is there a line for Pretoria Naledi, a straight line? Well, that is not on the books as yet. I think each line now is being considered on its own economic viability and merit, and as to also how many passengers it needs to carry. And I think this is a business, and it has to be run as such. And this business is based on revenue collection. And I think we had been in the past quite porous about that. Majority of the people have not been paying tickets, but with the Transport Pretoria line, we're now proven that it is possible to run a service which is worthwhile, which is modern class, and which is quite safe, it's reliable, and of importance that people can pay for it, and we can actually increase our revenue collection in that. And certainly with Transport, as you can see, we're reaching 98%, sometimes even 100% on time performance, and we have seen also a huge increase in revenue collection, and we're now sitting at about 80% of all passengers getting onto that train. We are now able to get them to pay. There are still a few of the poorer stations. We are looking those as well, and we are looking at the opportunity of people getting onto the platforms without going through the turnstiles, and all this we are improving in no time. And when I say that, we mean by December it will be a fully fledged line, and with a system that is operational, and that is a benchmark for us all on the rest of the corridors we're going to work on in this regard. The other issues I would leave to the Minister to deal with.
I'm going to ask the Chair to take over. Can you please help us, Mike? Thank you so much. Thank you. Most of the questions have been answered. I'd just like to re-emphasize on two questions that were raised, one by ENCA and one by Daily Maverick. The ENCA question related to Daniel Mtimkulu, and CEO has already said that our legal people are pursuing that award that was made in the court, but we have often been asked what are the chances of recovering that. And we'd like to assure the public that when Daniel Mtimkulu left Prasa, his pension was frozen, because at that time already the issue of his misconduct and criminality had already come up. And we have verified that that is still in place, and that will be the first point of call for recovering the money for Prasa. Obviously, if it is not sufficient, then there would be other civil means that are pursued in order to recover the full amount. And clearly, with some of the other issues that have also arisen of possible criminality in terms of awarding of tenders, that will also be pursued. Daily Maverick asked the question about the results. We did hold an AGM, and we also presented to Parliament, which is a public forum, and the annual report for Prasa is available for the public. And I will reiterate Dr. Sishi's comments that the board is not happy about the financial result, but with the appointment of the new CFO and other executives, the audit and risk is already working on clearing some of those findings so that there is a better result going forward. Thank you.
First and foremost, the result could not be good, because we all know what happened here. And the reason, among others, why we talk about the war room is precisely because there has never been stability at Prasa. We have had a board that was there, dissolved, and then we had the interim board. And then from there, the management level, Prasa was completely depleted. And that's why some of the reports were not submitted, and the AG's comments in terms of matters of emphasis are damning, precisely because there was no management here in this place. So we are here to basically sort that out. the war room is one mechanism that deal with holistically some of the elements of the turnaround strategy, things that need to be done that could not be done. And the board and the management are in sync in relation to the implementation of the turnaround strategy. And that is why we've got appointment of the CFO, Chief Procurement, key strategic positions occupied. And it's going to be like that. We're going to appoint, the board will appoint soon the CEO permanent going forward. Then that will seal the pack of management in senior positions at Prasa. And that will be, after a long time that this has happened. When we met here last time, there was no CFO, there was no chief procurement, and that now has actually been done and implemented. So the fact that the results could be tabled for the first time in terms of audit and the report in Parliament with all the challenges, it shows that we mean business about where we are heading to. And I think the Daniel Mtimkulu is the biggest scandal of our time, and that must not be treated lightly by both the management and the board, because that must send an example that we are not a banana republic. How dare somebody claim qualifications is not having, get to be employed, surpass all systems, and then get to be employed, and claims are made that that person is qualified and is not qualified at all. That is taking the people of South Africa for granted, let alone their intelligence and everybody around us. Now, I'm happy about what the board is doing to undertake what it has done, because South Africans expect us to act decisively when such occurrences happen within our system. Doesn't matter. Whoever does that here in Prasa and elsewhere in South Africa must know that there will be consequences, and the law will bite in terms of dealing with that. What makes people not to have faith in our leadership is precisely because such things do happen under our watch and there's no action taken. So we need to be decisive in dealing with that particular matter, and we need to keep reporting about the progress we are making in recovering the money that belongs to South Africa and to this particular institution, in particular Prasa, to ensure that we move forward. Slogans, rhetoric is not going to help us. Management, decisive, good board decisions are going to make us to regain integrity and credibility among our people in this particular instance. ENCA, am I satisfied? The answer will be yes, I'm satisfied, but the result should be felt by the last person on the ground. Who's the person you were telling us, Chair? Manoj.
In KZN.
Gumama. Utatu Manoj in KZN must feel that the intervention we are making at the war room have been felt on the ground. This Manoj I'm talking about is somebody who will call the chairperson of the board about challenges they are facing on the ground in terms of the operations. So that is our story. I can sit here on paper, you mark what we say we have done. Equally as the media, you have a right to follow up on the statement I've read here and the commitments I've made in establishing this war room. Don't take my word for it. But for me, the most important thing is that the results must be felt on the ground. So 14 weeks, in 30 weeks' time, when we come back and report on the existence of this war room, a whole lot of things will have taken a totally different. Already, with 14 weeks, key decisions taken in the war room, we are shifting the negativity and we are restoring the integrity. And with the resources that we actually have got, we are working within the prescripts of the law in terms of the board, the treasury government, and also the management of Prasa. So, am I satisfied? I'm over the moon. I will be elated by the time I can go back to the main passenger line in Cape Town and go back to where we got stuck with the president back, and the train is running on time. Pienaarsport is a signal, which on Friday will take you through that, what we are doing. That is a signal of good things to come. We don't mind. We don't play games here. Things must be done, and the war room must report the good result. And these South Africans meet here even on daily basis, Mondays, and look at the progress. So there is no week that passes by. There is no day that passes by without ensuring that we meet our deadlines, but no pressure, to ensure that we do quality work. We don't do work to please the bosses. We do work to ensure that we change the face of this place in terms of negativity, fraudulent activities, and bring an important, positive result. Daily Maverick, the board will be appointed once approved by cabinet. I'm busy with the process now to place before cabinet the new board of Prasa, and that will be finalized probably before end of the year in terms of the cabinet cycle, and I intend to announce that board once cabinet is approved. And then the interim board, in terms of its task, is busy with the employment of people at the management level. As you can see, I'm happy about the decisions that they've taken in terms of ensuring that we've got women in key strategic positions, but not just women, capable women in those particular positions. And I addressed everybody here. I congratulated them, and I said that this is the way to go. You are implementing exactly what informs the policy direction of this government going forward. So those will come. And we expect that the depleted management and the issues that were faced should actually also be addressed. Am I happy about the management? I will only be happy, time will tell. But there are checks and balances in place to ensure that we're all happy as South Africa and so on. We're happy about the work that Prasa must do. Prasa is not going to exist only for the next 2 weeks and so on. It must exist for the next generation, and to ensure that the purpose for what it was established is realizable. And as much as we've got weaknesses and there are overarching things in terms of negativity, but this vehicle has set the pace, and there are important things that we need to keep going in terms of the work of this particular entity of government. And we intend to ensure that things do turn around. My last point is that I think we need to thank you, the media, because sometimes we come and make announcements and then we disappear and nobody is held accountable for what announcements we have actually made. We have a war room there and so on. What does the war room do? Nobody knows. And I think to keep track of what we do is important. We don't feel annoyed every time you ask questions, but we need to give you feedback that we're on track. We've had a number of challenges in terms of security. Like I said in my presentation, that those challenges have been addressed, but they have been addressed for the long term. We don't want shortcuts where you've got a security company here and there. You spend millions to billions on security, but theft of cable theft is continuing, and we're unable to turn around the situation. But we've got security, we're employing, we're spending money. Now, what government wants is that we allocate money to Prasa, but there must be value for money, for the work that we allocate to Prasa. That's what we want. And I've expressed my happiness with the team this morning after they gave me a report, including in the regions, for the work that they do. And I've expressed my happiness in terms of us being on track to meet our deadlines, because you can have a war room forever, not deadlines. And then it will be announced there was a war room at Prasa. What did that war room do? So the war room is aligned in terms of the executive, in terms of the board, in terms of the management of Prasa. At the end of the day, the management of Prasa is the one that actually implement. So they've got our support from the highest office in terms of the minister. And we intend to also take this report, among others, in terms of what we're doing forward, in terms of cabinet and all of that. And I think I've answered that. The technical questions you have heard, the DG, the acting GCO, and the chair have actually answered you on those particular questions. The political ones that I'm responsible for, I've explained, from the decision of establishing this war room. And I think we're making great progress because most of the time we deal with issues at Prasa ad hoc. When there is a Mtimkulu crisis, when we pass that, we all go back. And then when there is another problem, there is a beef between the CEO and the executive, we go back. Now, my last point is this. I said to you, I work with everybody here who's prepared to deliver the result. So I'm happy with the chair of Prasa, Meko Koyama, in terms of the work and the interim board have done so far, ensuring that they support the management. In any work environment, there is no place where there are no contradictions, as long as they are healthy. Because the board, I want answers from them. So if they're doing things that undermine the law, they will say, Minister said we must do this, but this is not doable. And I expect the management also not to buy faces, to do their job. And that's why we brought Dr. Sishi here via the last minister before me. And I've told him even this morning that he must not look above or the shoulder all the time and think that he's been shot at. He must relax. He's been sent here by government to do his job. It's like an administrator in a municipality that is falling apart. An administrator is not permanent, it's temporary to reach certain goals. So he must focus on that. His desire to become CEO is not my problem. It's dependent on the board and whoever is supposed to employ. So I want him to do the job that I sent him here to do, and to work with people around here. And those who are idling here and have got no job to do, here is the work. So everybody must be accountable. That's what I want. I don't want conflict. I want progress. South Africans, that's what they want. So my commitment and that of government of ensuring that we run a smooth operation. We've got people affirmed in positions and appointed, and everybody's on track, accountable. I'm happy with that. So that answers your overall question about whether and what is it. And that's why I gave you a detailed account. And that account is based on the reports I've received from the war room this morning at this level, and all the regions who connected with us in terms of the digital connection we've had here. And then I think we're on track to meet our deadlines. You may not find 100% of everything good, but there is a direction of where we're going. And we are not going to retreat on that. And anyone who comes our way in terms of wanting to disturb the work we're doing, we will meet on the warpath, and there will be no retreat with regard to that, rest assured. I will support anyone who wants progress, anyone who wants to derail this program. Let's talk after 30 weeks about it. And anyone who seeks to derail it, I'm not going to allow them to do that. Because it is a mechanism that must work for us to turning around this particular area so that it is not the same. And all of us and South Africans are actually happy on the ground about the results of what we must achieve. I'm not into the battle of tenders. Those who award tenders must do their job. But I'm not going to work with public representatives and professionals at this level who are afraid to spend government money because they shouldn't award tenders. They should, because that comes with the business. And they must do the professional thing. And if somebody is interfering with that particular work that they are supposed to do, they know what to do. And we must move forward. We must do the right thing and the right thing only. Serve the people of the Republic. So I'm happy with the work we're doing. And on Friday, I will be at Pinar Sport early in the morning, 6 a.m. And over and above that, by the 31st of December, which will be on the eve of Christmas, you will have forgotten everything I told you now. And the Springboks have also won. And you are still happy, most of you. But on the 31st of December, 164 of this that I reported must be operational based on RSR and all of that interaction. January, when you are sober on the 2nd or 3rd, I will showcase to you what we have actually delivered. In 30 weeks' time, I will be back and tell you word for word what we have actually delivered. And then at that time, I will evaluate the existence of this war room and whether we still need it and what are the things we need to consolidate. Now, I don't intend to stay here forever.
15 more weeks.
Yeah, 15 more weeks. No, I'm saying 30 overall, but 15 more weeks, I'll be back. So, because we are here, because we are intervening. There's been challenges, which all of you know about, and we then took a quick decision in 100 days of our time in office to attend to these issues. And our approach is the one of intervening decisively and dealing with issues. The board and the rest, we will appoint and then we'll announce them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. Colleagues, I think we're answered. Are there any questions still? Okay, this will be the second and the last round, if I may. The gentleman had his hand up first, so I'll start with you, sir.
Hi, my name is Ted Werta. I'm with sapeople.com. So a couple of things. They're more practical issues. They're like not the numbers and stuff, but so you talked about the security. There seems to be some like security company that was involved that was paid a lot of money and it hasn't delivered the goods, and it seems the very South African thing is actually in on the bad stuff. In line with that, I want to speak about security of the railway lines. So somebody was quoted with you saying there's a big wall program going on, that you're going to be, there's a whole hundreds of millions of rands going to be spent on walls to secure the train lines. Is that going ahead? Is something happening like that? Because I personally see a lot of people walking along the railway lines, which I think is probably dangerous and illegal and probably makes people feel unsafe, that they're going to jump on the train, they're going to do something. I mean, if you go to Johannesburg taxi rank, you'll see hundreds of people gathered on the railway line going into the tunnel to Johannesburg Park Station. I mean, that's like insane. So that was the one thing. The second one was you mentioned like the mainline services are also got a security threat. And I saw something about Martipoort, East London, a whole bunch of mainline train lines are being temporarily shut down. Is that what you were talking about? That you want to sort out those security issues before you start those train services again? Thirdly, you're introducing the blue trains. How are you going to stop what's happening on the yellow trains happening on the blue trains? I mean, how do you stop people vandalizing the chairs, the machinery, the trains themselves? You know, I mean, are we going to have good blue trains or we're going to have blue trains becoming like the yellow trains? And lastly, do you guys consult with any of the train companies in South Africa that actually do good stuff like Robos or Gautrain? I see Golden Arrow also wants to invest in the train lines. Do you guys consult with them about ways that you can improve the system or give tips to each other? That's it.
Thank you so much, Teddy. Second, I'm going to come to you just now. Let's give the gentleman in front a chance.
My question is directed to the CEO and the Director General. In terms of tracking the progress, there has been one line operating between Olifantsfontein and Pretoria due to cable theft. It's been over 10 weeks. How far is the war room has gone in addressing that matter between Olifants and Pretoria?
Did you introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry, it's Kumlani from UCV,
Thank
United
you.
Commuter Voice.
It was a genuine question. I didn't know if my mind was out. So thank you so much. Thank you. Let's go to Sikonasis. I'll come to you in front now.
Thank you. Mr. Mbalula, I'm glad you are elated about the progress of Prasa, and I'm indeed glad that you are elated we ask you questions, but I'm concerned about the quality of the information you are receiving and all of us are receiving. Dr. Sishi has just said now, Prasa had not submitted financials for the last 3 years. Yet, the Auditor General signed on the 21st of September 2018 the 2018 financial report. That's just, and Dr. Sishi knows that this year one audit was submitted and worked on by the auditor, because the previous 3 years have already been published and we've been dealing with them over the past few years. Now, how reliable is all of this information that we are getting here? About you, Mr. Mbalula, you are giving now us a deadline of the end of the year to appoint a board. What happened to the 31st of October that you had promised? Why are you now pushing this forward? Yes, you are talking about cabinet processes, but you've always known those cabinet processes. What is the delay? Why can't you take us into your confidence about why you have not been able to appoint a board? Dr. Sishi and Mr. Mbalula, at the end of October, Prasa cancelled all its security contracts, as far as I'm aware. So the assets are running unprotected. As the gentleman at the back here has just asked about security, how is it possible that such a critical organization, with all the problems you have been reporting with security and vandalism that you've spoken about, the assets are running unprotected? Dr. Sishi, one of the major insurance companies, at least Emerald Africa, Santam, a subsidiary of Santam, has cancelled its insurance for the financial year. Take us into your confidence. How much of Prasa's operations were covered by Emerald Africa, and what is the insurance situation of the whole group? When is that being fixed? I'm talking about the current financial year. And can you also take us into your confidence in front of Fikile Mbalula? Tell us about the Development Bank of Southern Africa contract that you proposed or you wanted to appoint DBSA to deal with. Give us the facts on that. And Mr. Mbalula, what is your understanding of that contract? You spoke about complying with the law and everything. The manner in which Prasa would have appointed DBSA contravenes the most basic tenets of our constitution, including the Public Finance Management Act. Lastly, for you, Mr. Mbalula, the finance minister and indeed yourself are talking about keeping a tight shape and everything going. The lady next to you, Ms. Kweyama, and Nkosinathi Sishi are driving in 2 Mercedes-Benz vehicles that cost Prasa millions each, irregularly acquired before their time. Let's grant them that. I saw one of them outside as I was walking in here. Indeed, chauffeured by 2 guards, a driver and a guard as employed by Prasa. Let's repeat this. these were irregularly acquired before their time. And it's a matter that has been coming out of the Auditor General's report year in, year out. Are only the employees of Prasa and the passengers supposed to be running a tight ship and complying with the laws and all the regulations? And indeed, can you resolve that situation about these multi-million rand German vehicles that in which the chief executive and the chairperson are driven in luxury compared to the very basic services that our parents, my mother is a train commuter, by the way. So I'm disclosing right now, she no longer uses the train because it's totally unreliable. Yet the chairman of the organization and the chief executive are driving in multi-million rand vehicles paid for her by her upfront monthly tickets for services she does not receive. When are you resolving that matter?
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to ask, is this the last hand, colleagues, right? This is in front here. Yes, ma'am. Proceed, please.
Angela from SABC Radio News. I just wanted to ask...
What news?
SABC Radio.
I just wanted to ask, the trains that are being introduced, are they imported or have you started sourcing from Victoria?
Thank you so much. Colleagues, I'm going to ask that the questions, the method that we use in the answering be the same as the previous round. So we're going to start with Dr. Sishi, and then Minister will wrap it up. So, thank you so much. So once again, the microphone will start this side and make its way that way. I do apologize. I'll just also ask maybe that we wait until the microphones are settled completely before we start answering the questions, so some of the colleagues don't use a good soundbite. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. They also give us a